So, you want to become an Alvin and a Chipmunk, but your name is not Alvin, Simon, or Theodore. Well, that's not very lucky. Hey guys, I'm TutsByKai. I'm Kai, and today we're back once again taking a look at how to make this cool portal in Blender. Now, I've done this tutorial before, but apparently it's actually kind of broken because Blender removed the bloom feature that they had in Eevee. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go ahead and just drag a box over top of both of the things in our scene, which is our default cube and our lamp. Hit delete on my keyboard to get rid of those two things, because right now we need to go ahead and add in one singular thing, and we're going to hit Shift A and search for a mesh, and we're going to add in a torus. Now before we do anything, before we go anywhere, before we left click, right click, whatever else, we're going to go down to the bottom left and hit Add Torus, open that up, and we're going to change a couple of these settings around. Now I'm going to go ahead and put some of these values on different things. So we're going to put major radius a little bit up because I want my portal to be a little bigger. So this is going to be as basically as big as you want your portal to be. Something like that looks pretty good. I'm also going to go ahead and make the entire thing skinnier by going and dragging the minor radius down to maybe something about like around there is kind of fine. Maybe like 0.25 for the major and 0.3 for the minor. There we go. That's pretty good, and we can also go ahead and add a couple more segments in if we really wanted to. I'd say maybe go to 64 for the major, and maybe 24 for the minor, just to get a little bit more depth and detail in there and whatnot. We can bump it up more. You can see we can bump it up a little bit more, but you don't really need to. So I'm just gonna leave it on 64 for now, which should be fun. Now once we have that done, we can actually move our torus. Now hit RX on your keyboard and 90 on your numpad. Hit left click to confirm that movement, and now you can see we have this cool little thing. So the first thing we need to do is go ahead and go over to the modifiers tab and add in a new modifier. This modifier is going to be a wave modifier, and that's down here. Boop. And now if you see, we can move this around and hit play. You can see it does some really weird looking stuff, but this is not what we wanted to do, so we have to change a few things here. So now if you see, we go ahead and take off Y or X. It does different things. We're going to take off X, and we're going to leave the Y as the only one that's moving. Now this is way too much movement, obviously, unless you want it to be wiggly jiggly, you know what I mean? Which I don't want that, so let's go ahead and change the height. Put the height down a little bit. We're going to put that on maybe let's do 0.1 exactly. Put it on 0.1. We can change the width so that it's so that it has like less motion overall, or we can put it up more so that it has more whatever overall. We can change the narrowest. We can change the narrowness so more of it moves at the same time, which is kind of what I really want to do. So we can do something like this. Also, yeah, that's pretty good for now. I think we might leave it just like this. We're gonna create a second one so that it looks so that it looks a little more defined as well. So this is only the first wave modifier we're going to do. I'm going to turn the in frame up to 500, by the way, as well, so just so we have more time before it ends and replays itself, before it loops. All right, so the next thing I want to do is go ahead and downsize that wave modifier and add another wave modifier on top of that one. And we're gonna again put the X off of that. So take the X off, and I'm gonna put on along normals. And now as you can see, instantly we have this really cool like bulbous effect that goes but it's way too big. It's way too big. It's way too big. This looks like it has some kind of surgery or something. We need to tone this down a little bit. All right, so let's put the height down a little bit. There we go. We can also put the width up or down depending on what you want. The higher the width, the less bulbs you'll have that go up. The lower, the more bulbs you have that'll go up. I think I want to have less bulbs. I want kind of like a heartbeat kind of thing going on, which looks pretty cool. The narrowness is gonna make it. The narrowness is gonna make it so that the bulbs are like more just balls, or more like, you know, actual whole big things. I like the look of the whole big thing like this. So I'm gonna do something like this, and we'll just leave it somewhere around here. Yeah, something like that. I like the more rounded edge instead of like the hard edge like that. Looks kind of weird. All right, so now that we have that done, we need to go ahead and add the inside of the portal. So let's go ahead and hit Shift A and search for a circle. Now you can see it has nothing in here. Before we move, before we click, before we do anything, go down to the bottom left and change this from nothing to triangle fan. Now what this is doing is it's filling in all of the because all this empty mesh, it's filling it in with triangles. Now, we don't want to go in-gon, because if I show you real quick, if we hit tab when you go into in-gon, you can see what it does is it goes ahead and it adds these vertices, but there's no lines connecting them. They're kind of just like floating to nowhere, you know? But if we were to go ahead and we were to add in a circle triangle fan, when we hit tab to go into edit mode, you can see we have all these perfect little triangles that kind of go to the center, which is exactly what we need. So let's go ahead and hit RX on our keyboard, then 90 to rotate that 90 degrees on the X axis. Hit left click to confirm that. Hit S to scale this up into our portal rim. There you go. Once that's like that, we can go ahead and hit tab and hit 1 on our keyboard to go to the front facing view. Now we're in edit mode. Now the number one thing we need to do, and the only thing we need to do, is create a bunch of loops to kind of make this look weird. Now I would do this artificially, but it looks way better when you do it naturally. So let's go ahead, and I'm just gonna split this into 2 using the knife tool. I'm just gonna go ahead and then just kind of like do something like this. Now the crazy thing is if we go ahead and go across through all of these like this, what we need to do is actually, so don't do what I just did. Don't start in the middle of a face. We need to start on an edge here. So we're gonna go ahead and click this edge, and then we're gonna start from there and then go around. So we don't have any weird vertices when we end. We don't want it to just end in the middle of a face. So let's always start on a line. Always make sure your crosshair is on a line when you start, and just go ahead and just create a bunch of these. And then when you loop them back together, hit enter. Make sure they connect back up, and then we just break up all these little spaces through here. You know what I mean? Just like break up all this dead space that we have through here, and just do as much as possible. I'd say you want them to all be around the size of squares. Yeah, there we go. So that's basically what it should look like. And once you're done, you can hit tab to go out of edit mode. Now what we can do is we can grab left click our outer rim, our torus, right? The outer rim of the portal. Hold shift, select the inner circle, and then hold shift and select the outer portal again. Make sure you select the outer portal last. With both these things, make sure you have the outer portal selected last. So we can hit Control L and go ahead and hit link. And we need to go ahead and link all of the modifiers. So copy modifiers, and now you can see what we have here is that the inner portal is now doing the cool animations that the outer portal is doing. Now it's kind of not lining up, so we need to go ahead and change some of these settings because we don't want it to kind of move the way that it's moving. So unironically, I actually want to keep the X on for this portal, but you can see it's still kind of coming outside of the, the whole thing that we're doing here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and use a vertex group. So let's select our outer rim of the portal, hit H to hide it, and then select the inner portal again. Now we're going to go ahead and grab this by hitting tab to grab the outside. We're going to go ahead and hit shift and alt, and if we're at the right angle, there we go. Make sure you're at an angle, and when you're at an angle, hit shift and alt, and then left click on the rim to select only the rim. Now we can go ahead and go to the vertex group tab here. So this little upside down triangle, the data tab. Hit plus on this bad boy right here. And then now with this selected, let's go ahead and hit Control I to invert our selection. So everything is selected except for the outermost rim of our inner portal. And then go ahead and go to this group and hit assign, and then call this Portal John, because John is a great guy. Love that dude. Now hit tab to go out of edit mode, and now it's still doing the same thing. So let's go to the modifier tab and then choose vertex group and select Portal John. So now you can see that the portal is really only, it's still affecting the outer rim, but not too much. Let's go ahead and actually reduce that even more. So let's go ahead and go to Portal John, and then we'll hold down shift and alt and unselect the second loop as well, and then hit hit Control I with my cursor over here, and then hit remove, so it removes both of these vertices. So now it should be a little less, there you go, it should be a little less influenced by that. Let's go ahead and also put object shade smooth on, so it looks a little cooler like that. Now I do want to fiddle around with this a little bit. Now we also need to do the vertex group to this as well for the other one as well. So that looks really cool. I like the way that looks a lot, actually. Let's hit Shift A and remove that as well. There you go. It looks really cool. It looks like it's like kind of pulsing out. It looks really gross and weird. All right. Now I'm going to go ahead and that's way too much. I'm gonna go ahead and change the settings in through here as well, so we can change the width, we can change it whatever else. Actually, I think, you know what I want to do? I think I might want to what does it look like if we add this loop back in? What does it look like if we put that back in? That might look kind of fine, actually. Yeah, that might look fine. That might look fine. Okay, so let's go ahead and change this again. Ooh, dude, that looks crazy. That looks insane. That looks so weird and cool. Wow. But there's just so many different like things you can get, so many different effects that you can get with this kind of stuff, which I just think is really, really cool. Put the width up for that. I want to make this kind of slower. And this is what I want the inside to be slower than not. Yeah. Whoa, the height is crazy on that. Maybe we do take the, is it the Y? Is it the X? It's the X. Okay, let's take the X off of this, and then we'll kind of just, I don't think that's changing anything now, actually. Let's just take ooh, I kind of like the way that looks. There's so many different opportunities and things you can change. I don't know. But yeah, you see, we just have some really nice variety in a lot of this, which I think is very, very cool. So there's that. Very, very nice. Now, for the roughness, I actually want to go ahead and do a, I want to do a, where is it? I actually want to do a displacement modifier here, and hit add new, and then we're gonna hit new here, and then we're gonna go ahead and go to our texture tab, and then hit the texture 01, and then we're gonna change this from image and movie to clouds, and now you can see it looks very, very like distorted and weird and stuff like that. We're gonna change the strength down to like 0.1 or something like that. We can change the vertex group to Papa John as well. I mean Portal John. I'm also gonna go ahead and move this displacement above the wave modifiers, just because I think it'll look cooler when it's like moving like that instead of like that, which is not very different actually now that I look at it again, but just because I like having it above. You can also change the direction of this as well. It doesn't really change too much. You can see it kind of fades in and out when you put it on the Y, or the X kind of fades a little bit as well, but actually so does the X. So if you have it on one instead of the other, it kind of fades in and out. I think I like the way that Z looked the best. It was like very subtle, very, very subtle. Now you could of course animate the strength and the mid-level as well if you really wanted to, but I'm not going to do that. We can go ahead and do the same thing with this modifier up here with the outer, which I do want to do. So let's go ahead and actually do that. Let's go ahead and go to the modifiers tab, add displace, and then let's do a different texture. Let's add new again, and then hit this texture 2, and then we'll open up, like maybe we'll do a noise. Oop, that's maybe a little too much. Let's do, ooh, that could be kind of cool. Let's do that, and then turn the strength down to maybe like 0.2 maybe, and then we'll do Z, or no, let's do X on this one, or maybe Y. Yeah, let's do Y. Okay, I like the way Y looks, and then we'll go to the modifiers tab. We'll go back to the texture tab, sorry, and then we'll change this from, let's see what some other things look like here actually. Ooh, that looks kind of nice actually, I'm not gonna lie. Ooh, noise just looks too crazy. I think if anything, you do maybe distorted noise. That could look kind of nice maybe. And then we'll do, I like the way Musgrave looks, but it looks a little crazy. So I think we'll just keep it on Stooky, or have you say that, whatever. All right, let's go. All right, the last thing I want to do is the actual materials for everything. So if we go to the material tab, you see everything's kind of just white here, and nothing looks really, too good. So let's go ahead and add in a little modifier here, and we'll do the outer rim first. Here at the material, and then we'll make this like a bright orange or something like that, right? Let's actually go to the rendered viewport shading here. And what I want to do is I want to change this from principal BSDF to emission, and then we'll put this back on orange. There you go. And we can just bump this color up, and now you can see there is no, like I said, there's no bloom here in Eevee anymore, which really sucks and is like super silly. Don't know why they did that, but we do have ray tracing. So let's turn ray tracing on, and instantly you can see, boom, it has this really nice effect to it, because we have the inner portal locked down. I'm gonna turn the background to black as well. Now with this, the way that it is, let's go ahead and grab the inner circle now and hit new on that. And now we can change a couple of things here. We can turn the metallic up, we can turn the roughness up or down. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna turn the roughness up and maybe the IOR down, so those reflections get a little bit does the reflections get a little bit bigger? Maybe the metallic up a little bit, maybe down, who knows? But I think the important thing here is the color. So if you take a look, you can actually influence the way the gradient looks by changing the color, which I think is pretty cool. So you can have like a a deeper red, or you can have like a green edge to it, or you have like a bluer edge to it or whatever. But I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna leave this on white for now, just because it looks kind of nice the way that it is really. You can turn the specular up, sorry, the specular up here. You can turn the specular up or down. It doesn't really do too much because we have the ray tracing on, which is very nice. So the last thing we need to do is we need to make sure that we go ahead and do the bloom, because the bloom is the piece that kind of really sets this thing off. So let's go ahead and split our window into two by dragging from the top left until we have these little things, these little boxes that pop up here. And let's go ahead and go to the shader editor and not the shader editor, sorry, the compositor, and hit up at the top here, backdrop, and use nodes. Now, if we go ahead and split these open and hit Shift A and search for, first of all, a viewer node so we can see what's going on here when we render it, we can go ahead and add in one more thing. We can add in a glare node. So Shift A, search, and then add glare in. Boom, right there. Let's go ahead and render this one real quick so you can see what it looks like. And, oh, the camera's in a really weird spot. Let's go ahead and move the camera real quick. We'll just go ahead and open this up and hit camera to view, and then just scroll that out like that, and then that in, and then that, and then okay, there we go. Okay, so with that done, you can see when we render it, now we have this little glare on it now, because before we had it like this, but when we put the glare in, boom, it does like that. But let's go ahead and change this. Hit V to zoom out, and then hit Shift. Oh, sorry. Alt V to zoom in, V to zoom out, Alt V to zoom in. We can change this from streaks to ghosts, which looks kind of cool, I guess. But you can also change the fog glow. Fog glow is the one we're probably going to want to use. We can go ahead and change the size. We can change it. We can put it down, put it up. We can change the strength. We can change the saturation, all that good stuff, whatever. We can change it from medium to low, or from medium to high. Of course, the higher resolution it is, whatever, all that stuff. Let's go ahead, and I really quickly want to actually change the color of this. Let's do a blue portal, actually. Let's do that, and then render it back, and then we'll see what color we get now. It looks really, really good. I like the way it looks. We can also change the strength of the emission, so we put it up to 10. Maybe we'll even do 20, and then we'll get an even more vibrant glow. We'll get a brighter glow, a crazier glow like that. It looks insanely cool. Now with this animated, of course, like I said, it'll look even cooler because you have these like pulsing orbs going through and all that stuff. You can even actually go ahead and animate the emission so that it kind of goes up and down or in and out like that, which I think is very cool as well. But for now, I think we're just going to do the regular fog glow. Now we can duplicate this, hit Shift D, duplicate that, and put that there. We can add more fog glow, or we can add, like, whatever. We can add actual blooms. So there's a bloom feature. It's basically just like a really soft fog glow. It's not really too much different, but I'm gonna leave this on fog glow. And then we're gonna go ahead and actually, no, you know what? I'll put it on bloom, and we'll just change the size down a little bit. Maybe the strength slightly. Something like that. So it has a nice softer feel to it like that. And then we'll put the second one in, and we'll change this from that to simple stars. Also very cool, but we'll do streaks. And then we'll put it on 2 streaks just so it looks kind of anamorphic. And then we'll do fade. We'll put the fade about there, and maybe color. We'll leave that down. And then maybe we'll change the streaks angle, something like that. That's kind of cool. Just so it has like that little bit of edge to it. If you see, yeah, it just puts that little bit of edge on there, so it looks a little bit more bright, a little bit more hot than it actually is. Yeah. So there we go. We can also turn the iterations up, so it's like more high quality or lower quality, whatever you feel fits your fancy. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's basically it. There's a bunch more things you can do. You can grab both of these, and you can just scale them on the z-axis, so it's oblong instead of like circular, which looks very cool as well. So that's also something. But when you're done, before you render anything, it will render black like that unless you put the composite node back. So you can split them, make 2 of them, whatever, but make sure you have the composite node hooked up, or else it will render solid black. So when you render, there you go. Now you have that beautiful render, that beautiful portal. And also, the last thing I want to do before we're done is the center portal could have a lot more depth to it. So let's go ahead and add in a little lamp real quick. So let's add in a point lamp. Shift A, search, and we'll put that point lamp maybe about right here. Change it to a little blue color. And what I want to do with this is actually we can go ahead and turn the metallic and the roughness down. The IOR actually can go a little bit back up to where it was, so we have this little glass look to it. Turn that up like that. Now when you play this, you can see. Now when you play this, you can see that it has this nice little look to it. Now, I do want to go ahead and change this base color to like a darker color like that, so that when we add the color back into it, it kind of has this look. Let me put the IOR back to where it was, 1.5. Put the roughness up a little bit so it has this little this weird little look to it, right? We can also put a little subdivision surface modifier on the middle section here, which is generate subdivision surface. There we go. So it gets rid of any of that little weird artifacting that we have here. Just bump it up to 2 and then just like throw it there. Now when you play this, you can see we have that really nice looking sheen to it in the center there, which looks really, really weird and cool. So yeah, there's that. But you can also add a bunch more lamps all around. I turn the shadow off of them. I turn the shadow off of them. But we can just add a bunch more just in various locations and make it look kind of weird and strange and just, you know, mystical and all that yada yada good stuff. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. There is your very, very weird portal. Lovely. And now when we render it, it looks like that, which looks very, very cool. So ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I will see you in the next one, but until then, bye bye.